Good morning, good morning. Hello from Thailand, another day in paradise. It has been a while, and it's nice to see you. Say hello if you're here, and yeah, ask me anything. I've been up to a few things. There have been adventures, for sure, and I don't think I've actually been here for an update in what it's been about maybe 6 months, not since I came back from Indonesia. So yeah, there's been water under the bridge. There have been bikes over the bridge since then. It's been pretty great. So where to start? Where to start? First of all, let me just check that this is all working properly. I If there's any problems with my audio or anything housekeeping like that, please let me know because I don't want to be talking to myself for no reason for the next hour. So, yeah, and like I say, it's been a while since the last live stream, so need to know this is all doing what it should do. How are we doing? All right. I'm just going to go and check on a few things. Make sure it's all working. Great. All right. Looks like we're all good. So, I don't know where to start, It's been a lot going on. So it's we're getting into the burning season here, which is why I suddenly have time to make a live stream and say hello. Because burning season is, of course, not the right time to be riding dirt bikes. As the name would imply, it's very, very hot. So the temperature looks like it's going to be hitting about 40 degrees. Not just yet, which is a bit late in the season, which is great. But yeah, they're predicting 40 degrees by the end of this month. So that'll be a bit toasty for enduro. You get the heat stroke, it comes pretty quickly when it's 40 degrees outside. So yeah, that's a thing. But that means, the burning season is our low season. That's when I get to take a little bit of a rest and catch up on all the paperwork and plan the next season and work on the other bits of my business, selling dirt bike parts and all that good stuff. So, yeah, now we're into the burning season. But also, that means we just finished the high season and it's been a really great season. We had some amazing tours, we had some good adventures, we had some awesome people come out and ride with us. Super cool. Probably one of the highlights was going to Myanmar. So Myanmar is a pretty interesting place to travel to at the moment because, as you may or may not know, it's pretty much been closed since 2020, since the beginning of 2020, the end of 2019, with there were all the lockdowns of all the borders, and that all happened. But also there was a military coup in Myanmar, and that has, the aftermath of that is still very much not resolved. So Myanmar is in a state of civil conflict, and it has been now for the last 5 years. And yeah, all the land borders have pretty much been closed for 5 years. So it's this amazing, incredible country, and it's right next door to us. We're up here in the north of Thailand, so Myanmar is really, really close. But at the same time, it's really different from Thailand. It's not like, oh, why do you need to go there because we're next door already and it's kind of the same. It's not the same. You know, Myanmar has its own language, its own culture, its own history. It's very culturally distinct than from northern Thailand. There is some cultural overlap, particularly like northern Thailand, like into Shan State, because of historical kingdoms that used to sort of bleed across these new modern borders. So sometimes when you do travel into Shan State, you can find Thai people, and that's actually kind of cool because the Thai people, they're not speaking Thai. They're speaking a dialect, they're speaking Thai, which is a dialect which my partner Pila, he can understand it because he's from the north of Thailand and his first language is not actually Thai. His first language is Lana, which is the old northern Thai language. So it's close enough for him to actually be able to understand, some of the old Thai ladies when we go into Myanmar. But Burmese, the actual Myanmar language, very, very distinct, and the culture and the history very distinct from Thailand. So it's this amazing, incredible place which is right next door to us. And for the last 5 years, we haven't been able to go over there, which has been a real pity. And okay, so we can't take an interesting holiday or go on an adventure. Let's not cry a river for us for that. But also, the Myanmar people, they're over there and they're all trying to make a living, and this that's a source of income that's been severely curtailed. There are all these fantastic people who were working in tourism and all of that before 2020, and it all just stopped overnight. So that's a pretty big deal. And when I heard that, listen, maybe we can actually set up the arrangements to get special permission to actually ride into Myanmar, so actually cross the land border, ride into Myanmar on our dirt bikes from Thailand, and do some dirt biking around Shan State, go and see that part of Myanmar, and then ride back out into Thailand again. When I realized that we might actually be able to arrange this by working with all the right people inside Myanmar, I was very excited. So yeah, that's what we set about doing. And it was early February, actually, late January, early February, we actually made it happen. So this was super exciting, like I say, because 5 years, it's all been closed off to us. End of January, 30th of January this year, we were able to get all of our ducks in a row. And oh my goodness, there were a lot of ducks to get in a row. But we showed up at the Tatchalek border in northern Thailand, and after several hours, we were in Myanmar. We were in Myanmar and off on our adventure. It was very, very exciting. And so, the first parts, there was a lot of you have to go through a lot of checkpoints in Myanmar, right? Because Myanmar is controlled by, you've got the government, you've got various other groups which are fighting the government. We stayed away from that, the actual sites of most of that conflict, obviously, because that's not where you want to be getting tourists involved. But also at the same time, it's controlled by many armies. There are many, many different armies in Myanmar. It's not just one army. And so when we got permission to travel through these areas, it wasn't like we just, get the permission from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and they say, hey, yeah, these people are coming, let them through. You have to clear it with every single different army along the road. And, many, many checkpoints. Everyone is, almost everyone seems to be a different army. So that was really, really interesting. And in the first couple of days, there was a lot of, going through those checkpoints, and the people there were very, very surprised to see us because basically they hadn't seen any foreigners riding from Thailand into Myanmar in the last 5 years. They'd seen, I have one friend who was a few weeks ahead of us. That's probably about it. Not much going on there, right? Because like I say, very, very difficult to get these permissions to now be allowed to go in and do this. So yeah, so there were 4 of us, and 4 foreigners would just ride up on these dirt bikes from Thailand, and they'd be super surprised to see us. They'd be like, what are you doing here? Who let you in? How is this happening? And so we went through that process. And we had great support on the Burmese side, so we were able to get everything sorted out. They were just super surprised to see us. But we had a fantastic trip. We were able to go and explore Idlay Lake, and even an absolute highlight, we hooked up with a whole bunch of local dirt bikers. So people came down from Mandalay to meet us, and we went dirt biking. We went up these mountains. It was magnificent, and coolest bunch of people. And it was just sensational. And of course, the first thing we said, well, look, we'll be back. So we are going to be back. So Myanmar next year. So January. So this coming January, it's going to be January 2027. We are going back to Myanmar. And we're going to make a whole tour of it. So if you want to come to Myanmar with us in January, so because we can't go right now because it's the hot season now, too hot. And then we can't go in the middle of this year because it'll be the rainy season, in which case all those roads are going to be drowning in mud. So that's fine. That means we're going to go in winter, which is the best, most beautiful season for riding. So that's why we're going in January. And that's why we have to wait until January to get that beautiful, beautiful weather. But it's going to be absolutely gorgeous. And the areas we went to, they're up in the mountains, so it's actually pretty cool up there. So you get these beautiful sunny days, blue skies, and at night, like, you're going to need your fluffy jacket. It's cold. Really beautiful up there. So January 2027, we're going to Myanmar, and it's going to be a very cool dual sport adventure. It's going to be 2 weeks, right? Because we get to go all the way to Bagan. And Bagan is this ancient city site. We're talking like ruins that go back to the 3rd century BC. This is a truly ancient and incredible site of civilization. So, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Area, and I cannot wait to go and see it. So we're going to go all the way through to Bagan and have the chance to have a look around Bagan when we go next time. So that means it's going to be about 2 weeks. It's going to be about 16 days, so a little over 2 weeks, because we need a day to get in. We need a day to get out. And so that's really important because, when you're crossing borders, it does take a little bit of messing around. So you want to give yourself time to do that. So we're looking at about 16 days. So start and finish Chiang Mai. What we're going to do is we're going to transport the bikes and the people up to the Touch Lake border. So from Chiang Mai, flying to Chiang Mai, we'll take 1 day to travel up to the Touch Lake border. Then we'll cross into Myanmar with our dirt bikes. And we're going to ride all through Shan State, and we're going to ride all the way to Bagan. And that's going to be very cool. Bagan, Inlay Lake, dirt biking, incredible. So that is the plan. Now, I've got the details up on the High Volt Moto Tours website if you want to check it out. It is a dual sport tour. We're going to take CRF 300L and also can take KLX 230 because it's going to be, here's the split of how we're going to how the riding breaks down, right? So the split of how the riding breaks down is going to be, it's going to be about 35% decent road, like decent bitumen road. It's going to be 35% road, but really bad road. And it's going to be the rest off-road. And the off-road's not going to be super technical or spicy, but it's beautiful. Like it's going to be some gorgeous single track, but not like really difficult or anything. So you don't need to be an expert dirt biker. But what I do need you to be able to do is when we're on those bad road sections, I need you to be confident. And it's going to be a bit off-roady, right? Because here's how it goes. So you'll have this big road. They'll have cut this big road into the side of the cliff. But most of it is going to be like rocks and bull dust. And then in the middle, there'll be like this broken little section of bitumen, which is wide enough for one truck. Now, if we're on the main road, there will be a truck on it. So if you need to overtake that truck, and you're going to need to because they're slow, you're going to need to overtake them in the rocks and bull dust. So I need you to be confident about doing that. That's basically it. Because if you cannot overtake on that dirt section on the side, then you're going to be stuck behind these trucks, and it's going to take you, 3 days to get where you need to be in 1 or 2 days. So that's why I need you to be reasonably confident on a bike. And obviously safety, right? Because, if you're dealing with conditions like that, I want you to be feeling comfortable, feeling confident. I don't want you to be stressed. I don't want you to be tired. So a bit of confidence. You're going to need to overtake some trucks. There's going to be a bit of dirt. You're going to be overtaking, sort of on the dirt side of the road. So that's the level of skill we need. And and you also need to be pretty bike fit, I guess, because we're going to be doing a fair lot of kilometers. Like I say, not a lot of technical, but we're going to do a lot of kilometers. You need to be nice and confident on the bike. But yeah, we're going to take the CRF 300s, like I said, and these are just going to be fantastic bikes for it. Because, they eat up everything. You can go dirt biking on them, but you can also, really enjoy yourself on a nice road, and they're going to be just perfect for eating up those slightly dodgy road conditions. When you do need to overtake in the bull dust, the CRF 300, it has your back. You're going to be totally comfortable. So that's why we're taking those bikes. Like I say, also KLX 230. When we went in this year, we actually all took KLX 230s. So we're on 4 KLX 230s. And they were super fun. But I think the CRF 300s are going to be more comfortable because the CRF 300, it has like more plush suspension, right? The KLX 230, it's better off-road. It's got like sort of more responsive off-road suspension. But when you're just like, you're trying to barrel along those, dodgy roads, the CRF 300, it's plush. It's pretty relaxed. It'll be much more comfortable. The reason we took the 230s was because we went with Nat and Gareth. And Nat and Gareth both have KLX 230s already. So I said, listen, let's all ride the same bike so that we only have to carry one selection of spare parts because it's going to fit all the same bikes. So that was what we are thinking. But this time, like I say, CRF 300 is going to be the bike of the day. Now, this tour we're doing, we're also going to have a support vehicle. We're going to take our Hilux. And so this is going to be really good backup. So we're going to have a mechanic with us. We're going to have Burmese guides with us who are obviously essential because we are, going through some quite tightly controlled areas. And and we're going to have our Hilux, which is our support vehicle. So it's going to have spare parts. It's going to have the mechanic and the driver. So it's good backup. So if we have any issues, if someone... if we break something on one of the bikes or somebody gets a bit tired and they can't ride anymore, or I don't know, somebody eats something dodgy and they don't want to get on the bike that day, we have the backup of having a support vehicle, so you can put the bike in the truck and put the rider in the truck, and so it's a long trip. It's going to be a 16-dayer, but we have various supports built in so that everyone can be happy and relaxed and enjoying themselves and safe, even on days when they're not feeling 100%. So that's where we're at. Myanmar, the Myanmar tour is going to be a little more expensive than our usual tours, right? Because usually we do Thailand and Northern Laos, but when we go to Myanmar, we have to, as well as having our crew, our Thai crew, so, we've got our Thai guides, our Thai mechanics, you've got PLR, you've got myself. So as well as our crew, we need to have a Myanmar crew on board to do the Myanmar tour because, again, tightly controlled area. So it's going to be a little bit more expensive than usual, which is, it's just par for the course, We want to go somewhere that's otherwise completely off limits, So we have to do a bit of organization, and that organization costs a little bit of money, so the price is a little bit higher than usual. But I would say completely worth it. I mean, getting in to see Bagan, this UNESCO World Heritage Site, is really extraordinary. Getting to go around Inle Lake, it's very hard to get in and see these places, and very, very hard to get in on your own dirt bike and actually just ride around. So really, it's worth the privilege. Anyway, so super excited about Myanmar. I've talked about it a lot now. So let's talk about all the other things that have been going on. All right. So I got some new dirt bikes. I did. And that's pretty exciting. So my new dirt bikes, I have more than one of them. That's even more exciting. So for 2026, the KLX range, has arrived. And I ordered these bikes a good 6 months ago. And they arrived at the beginning of this year, model year 2026 KLXs. I have a new KLX 230R, so 2026 KLX 230R. And I also have a new 2026 KLX 140 RF. So this is very exciting. Now, I bought the RF initially for the tours, right? Because one of the things I like to do is I like to teach people to ride, and particularly I like to teach women to ride as well. And I want to make sure I have a bike that is comfortable and correct for people of small stature, especially when they're getting started. So the KLX 140 is a great little dirt bike for that. So what I've actually done is I've got all the steps for learning to ride. So number one, I got a KSR 110, which is basically, it's a cute little mini bike. It's completely road legal, which is hilarious. But it's a 110cc mini bike. I've got knobby tires on it. It's got 4 gears. It's got a clutch, and everybody can touch the ground on this bike. So it's so easy. Even like you're really small, you've never ridden a dirt bike before, you've never ridden any motorbike before. This is where I'm going to teach you how to use a clutch. And it's so safe and it's so chill. And so first we learn gears and clutch on the little KSR 110. Then we go up to the new KLX 140, which is super light. And it is a full-size dirt bike. So it has the full-size wheels. It's got your 21-inch front wheel. And it can ride over everything. But it's also super light. And so even if you're not really, really big, it's not intimidating. It's just the perfect starter bike. But it's more than that, and I'll get into that in a second. So that's the initial reason I got the 140 RF, but it's going to turn into much more. That's next. Anyway, coming back though, I also have a brand new KLX 230R. And this is my first R model. So as you probably know, I've had KLX 230s for years now. And my main bike that I ride mostly, like when we do enduro tours and that, it's a KLX 230 from 2022. It's a standard model, so the standard dual sport model. And I've modified it a lot. I've got it pretty dialed in now to where I like it. That bike's been through an upgrade. Just before I went to Myanmar, I finally got to the point where I realized it's a little bit elderly. So 2022, 23, 24, 25, 26. So like 4.5 years, I'd say, of enduro on this bike. This is my daily ride, basically. And yeah, we ride enduro, and I would say it's done about 40,000 kilometers of off-road. And after 40,000 kilometers of off-road, finally it started to smoke a bit, and I thought, listen, I probably need some new rings. So we opened it up, and the bottom end bearing was also looking a little bit shady. So I said, listen, I mean, it's done good work, but let's give it a treat. So since we had it all open anyway, and the bottom end was looking a bit shady, we did the full 300cc big bore kit on it. So up from 230cc up to 300cc. And yeah, she goes pretty good now. Hey, it's pretty exciting, honestly. So yeah, because it's a light air cooled bike, and now its power to weight ratio is so much better than before. It goes well. Like the front end comes up much more easily than it used to before. You can just like smack the throttle and it goes. So loving that. I My first ride on the 300cc kit was to Myanmar, and we definitely put it through its paces. Yeah, as you like barrel down those big dirt roads and overtake those trucks and that, it was just, it felt really good. So yeah, so now the old 230 is now a 300, but I also have my new Kalex 230R. And just out of the box, this bike is a delight. So because I always had the dual sports before, because I had to have the dual sport if I want to cross the borders with it. Got to have the papers. Whereas the 230R, it's the dirt bike version, so no papers. However, just for riding up in the hills doing enduro here in Thailand, no problem. So the 230R, it's a lot lighter. It's got much longer travel suspension than the standard, and it also has a few more horsepower. So it's the same engine basically as the standard KLX 230 dual sport, but it's got a different tune on it, right? And you need to take care of it more. I mean, with the 230R, you're looking at maintenance in the hours, not the thousands of kilometers. So that makes a big difference. I mean, changing your oil at 20 hours instead of changing your oil at 5,000 kilometers, big difference. But it's so worth it. This bike, it's so light and it's so nimble and it just floats over everything. I feel so much less tired after a whole day of doing silly things on this bike than I did on my other bike, just because it's so much lighter, and the suspension, it's long travel, but it's also plush, and so it eats up the bumps. It's not transferring as much shock into my body, I think. And so yeah, much more relaxing, and I feel much more confident on the 230R now than I did trying to do silly enduro things on the standard 230. So I mean, stuff that I would think twice about trying before, now I'm like, this hill that I've looked at for a while and thought, yeah, not today, Satan. Now, today is the day. So I've found it a real confidence builder, and absolutely 5 stars. The big thing with if you need a dual sport, buy the dual sport version. If you need papers, buy the dual sport version. But if you really just want to ride around the forest and do enduro, the 230R is a really good bike. And here's the other thing that's really interesting about it though. So here in Thailand, it's really expensive and a little bit difficult to get hold of, like a proper like KTM, Husqvarna enduro bike. They're private imports, and so they're really expensive. There's no like dealer support, so you can't get any parts, that sort of thing. So basically, if you want like a high-end Europe enduro bike, you need to sell a kidney. However, you do not need to sell a kidney to get a KLX 230R. It's 155,000 baht here, which is, let me tell you how many dollars that is. How many dollars is 155,000 baht? Waiting, let's have a look. 155. All right, so 155,000 baht is 4,700 US. So that's a lot different from, say, 15,000 US, which is sort of what you would be paying if you wanted like, a 2-stroke 300 KTM. So if you can't have the KTM, I mean, KTMs are lovely, but, if you're not rolling in money, if you don't have 4 times the amount of money to spend, the 230R is really a magnificent off-road bike. I got one, my friend Gareth got one as well, and he's really stoked with it too. We looked at these bikes, we got out on these bikes, and Gareth has some mad skills, and he said, listen, like, this bike, it's not bad. Like, you can run some hard enduro on this bike. And, the difference between trying to do that on the standard models versus the R model is just night and day. So, yeah, and, we're not the first people to say this. If you follow, like, Rich Larson, the IRC tire guy, very good rider, does some great instructional videos. He's got a 230R as well. And in fact, he actually bought he bought an idle screw from me to put on his 230R, which I'm very pleased about. And yeah, I mean, he says the same thing. He says, listen, if you're not ready to step up to the high-end, expensive Euro Enduro bike, the 230R really fills the gap really, really well. So, yeah, it's leveled up my riding for sure. And it's leveled up my confidence in terms of the spicier off-road stuff. And I'm completely loving it. So, in fact, I got so excited about this 230R that I actually entered a race because usually I don't race because usually I'm like, I can't get injured. Because I have to work, right? Because we run tours. If I, break my leg or something, that's me out of, helping to run tours for however long. So I usually don't race. But I got the 230R and I just felt so much more confident that I felt like, listen, let's give it a try. Like, let's see how this bike levels up. Hello to everyone in New Zealand as well. And yeah, I felt so good. So I entered a race, and this is my first enduro race in Thailand, and it was a great experience. It was also pretty hard. So the women's class, we raced, the full enduro course, of course, but what they do is they just give you different rankings within your class. But it was pretty full on. And I totally enjoyed it. Now, I finished the race, and I finished in about the middle of the field. But the thing that I found was, so normally when we ride enduro and we do like spicy stuff, you're going to have a friend nearby to help you, right? So if you do stuff something up and you end up slightly upside down or with the handlebars pointing down the hill or, you're stuck, your friend's going to run up and help you. So it's not a big deal. You don't lose a lot of energy. But what the thing is in the race, obviously, you're out there on your own. So if you do mess up an obstacle slightly and you have to rescue yourself, you're going to have to do it on your own. And sometimes if you're in an awkward position, that can take a lot of energy. So that was the big thing. I got pretty tired in that race because I was having to do things the hard way sometimes. Now, I finished about in the middle of my class, which was totally great. The thing, though, was everybody ahead of me was on smaller bikes. So I was on the 230R, and everybody who finished ahead of me was on a KLX 140. And they're about this much shorter, and they're just, many kilos lighter. So the thing with the 140 is you can self-rescue so much easier without getting tired. They're so small that basically if it's stuck, you just lift it up and carry it. And I can't do that with my 230R. I mean, I can manhandle it a lot more than I can a standard 230 or than I can a CRF 300. They're 140 kilos. That's heavy. These ones are a good 20 kilos lighter. Makes a big difference. But it's still also quite a tall bike as well, because in overseas markets like America, New Zealand, Australia, you can get the 230RS, which is the low version of the 230R. Fantastic. Can't get it here in Thailand, right? So I'm 165 centimeters, and so I'm riding the full R model, which is pretty tall. So that makes it a little bit tricky as well. You can't get a foot down to dab, if things get a bit out of hand, you just fall over. Then you have to pick it up again, and then you get tired. So everyone else is on the 140s, and, they can get their foot down, they can pick up the bike so much easier. They're just not falling down because the bike is not so tall and they're not so far from the ground. So I had to like be realistic, and I thought, well, look, if I'm racing in a class where everyone else is riding 140s, then if I want to be competitive, maybe I have to get on that train as well. So, like I said, I already bought the KLX 140 as well for my tours so that I could use it to like teach people to ride, to like build their confidence on a small bike. And it's sitting there in my shop looking at me, and I thought, well, if that's the bike I need to race, I guess that's my race bike now. So that was a whole new thing. So I haven't raced it yet, but I have built it. So I've got the big bore kit on it, and this is very exciting because when you get the 140 RF out of the box, I mean, the suspension in that is like quite nice if you're not super heavy. It's a nice little bike, but it is completely gutless. Like, I mean, it's 144cc. You wouldn't expect much from that. It's carburetted, and it's just completely gutless. Oh my God. But put a big bore kit on it, change out that carb, change out your intake, put the velocity stack, tune it up. It's fun. So because, it doesn't take a lot to really fix up your power to weight ratio on that bike because it's quite small. And yeah, you put the big bore kit and the new carb and all those upgrades. And of course you need like the aftermarket exhaust so that you're actually getting like really good airflow. And then you can tune it and they become little beasts, little animals. What a great little bike. Now, the main restriction I find with the 140 RF is that I wouldn't want to ride it like every day for like 10 days straight, like we do with our enduro tours, because even I find that, so it's got really good ground clearance, but that's because the foot pegs are really high. So when you're sitting on it, it's not very comfortable because your knees are really high. It's a much more comfortable bike if you're standing and riding really aggressively. So really fun race bike. But, if I'm going to do a 10-day enduro tour, I'm going to do it on my 230R because it's much more confident, much more comfortable day after day. But anyway, for racing, for aggressive riding, okay, the 140 RF, put that big bore kit on it, do those upgrades, and it's a little animal. Honestly, I couldn't believe, like, it's like night and day, right? So if you do, and this is the thing I want to tell you, if you buy a 140 RF because, like maybe it's the right size for you or something like that, this bike can be a fantastic bike for adults. It's not actually too small. It's not actually underpowered after you upgrade it. So don't throw it in the bin when you first ride it and you think this is useless. Just put some upgrades on it. Get that carb. I mean, you don't even have to do the big bore kit. If you actually just swap your carb, your exhaust, your intake, put the velocity stack, retune, then it will be good also. But even better if you put the big bore kit. They turn into little animals. And the thing I have to tell you is the 140s, they always win like the extreme enduro races here. Like, they'll be out there beating, like, the 300 two-strokes, the KTMs, the Husqvarnas, because they're so nimble and, they're also the right size for Thai riders, like lots of Thai people are not super tall. So the European two-strokes are actually, like, not the right size. So actually here in Thailand, you'll find that even in the open class, you'll be having, the podium covered in KLX 140 riders and, the KTM 300 two-stroke riders with their fancy bikes. Sometimes they're not even on the podium. They're not even close. So, yeah. So don't underrate the 140. The KLX 140, it's got potential. It just needs a little bit of tweaking. Anyway, so that's what I did. I tweaked it. I built it. It's going to be my race bike. Now, because it's super hot here, I haven't raced it yet. So it was only done last week. We did take it out. We've taken it out riding. I took it out on a tour. I had a lovely, lovely woman called Emmy here last week, and we went out on tour, and she rode the 140 and she loved it. And that was awesome. But I'm really looking forward to putting it through its paces when the seasons change and Yeah, we'll have some race updates. That will be fun. So, I'm also going to start selling parts for the 140 because I mean now that I've gone through this build process and we've made some parts for it, and I'm figuring out what I like, what I don't like on the 140. Every time, like I make a breakthrough, I'm like, we make the part that we need, and I say, look, we got it right. Then I'm going to start selling it. So I sell parts on highvoltspares.com, and we ship all over the world. And at the moment, I mainly sell for Calyx 230 and CRF 300, but now also we're adding the 140 parts because we have some great bits to share. So, so things like foot pegs. I made this beautiful titanium exhaust. It's so light. It's absolutely gorgeous. And then the full big bore kit. I have these headlights as well, which are so good, right? So 230R and the 140, they have no lighting. So we have these headlights, they're made in Thailand, and they're these little double LEDs, but they're specifically designed to slide right over that front number plate. And they're so small, they're so compact, and they are so bright. So much better than actually trying to like bolt on a conventional full-size headlight, because bike's not designed for that. You need to start pulling stuff apart, and the full-size headlight is heavier. Whereas, this just slips onto your front number plate. You're good to go. Really like that. So actually I have that on the website already because it's awesome. You should get it. Anyway, so Calyx 140s are in the future. And that's probably enough of me talking about Calyx 140s, because maybe if you don't have one, you're really bored right now. But anyway, we've got a few more bits happening as well. So one of the things I noticed when I was racing on the 230R, you know how the 230 has a really aggressive tip sensor. So you drop the bike, you can't start it again for another minute sometimes, and that's too long in a race. So I've actually got a tip sensor bypass as well for the 230. So 230 and 230R. So if your tip sensor on your 230 is annoying you, I have a solution for that. It's going to go up on the website soon too. The other thing that I'm planning is, so I'm planning the routes for next year, and for next year, I'm thinking about an epic Southeast Asia tour. Because I was talking to my friend, and he was saying, listen, his mate was thinking about, shipping some bikes over from Australia and spending 30 days riding around Southeast Asia. He had this idea. He was going to ship into Singapore, ride from Singapore up through Malaysia, up through Thailand, across through Laos, into Vietnam, back around, and then ship the bikes back to Australia 30 days later. This is not a viable plan, unfortunately. The first thing I started with was I was like, oh my God, don't ship anything into Singapore. Like, shipping vehicles into Singapore is not the way to go, because just to be able to ride 20 kilometers across Singapore, the amount of paperwork and permits and highway passes and toll passes and certifications, it's just like your head explode. Don't ride into Singapore on a foreign bike. It's not worth it. Just, if you want to go to Singapore, fly in, have a nice look around, and then go across into Malaysia and go for a ride. Singapore is not the place for motorbikes. It's just not. Bureaucracy, expensive, and the place is tiny anyway, right? So if you don't ride your motorbike in Singapore, you're not really missing much. By all means, like I said, go to Singapore, eat some food, enjoy, see the sights, but don't take your bike there unless you just want to put yourself through pain and suffering. Anyway, so I was like, don't ship into Singapore. And then I'm like, well, you're not going to be able to do that itinerary in 30 days. Okay, so if the only thing you're going to do was to ride flat out on a highway, okay, you could cover a fair distance in 30 days. But is that why you're doing this? You're not going to see anything. All you're going to do is be tired every day and see highway. Like, no, that doesn't sound like a good time at all, right? And the other thing is, trying to get your bikes into Vietnam, foreign bikes into Vietnam, big pain. You need to have like a guide, the Vietnamese guide. They need to do the permits for you. It's really quite expensive. And like, I mean, we're talking like thousands of dollars, kind of expensive. And the guide needs to stay with you in Vietnam the whole time. So again, expensive, and you have to have someone like following you around. So foreign bikes into Vietnam, I mean, if you have a big group, it could be good, right? If you're going to ride in a big group anyway, I know some great people in Vietnam. We can organize for guides who are going to, do the paperwork. They're going to meet you at the border when you ride into Vietnam, and they're going to, go with you around your tour of Vietnam, and they're going to take care of everything. That's great. If you've got a big group, you can split the cost, so it's not going to be prohibitive. But if you're just like one or two people and you just want to ride your motorbike around, this is going to be such a pain. It's just going to, it just doesn't really make sense. I mean, look, okay, so some people have the money for it, but it's not maybe not the kind of experience you're thinking of. It's not the kind of experience like you get in other countries where you just sort of ride up on your own bike and do your own thing. So that's another thing to think about. But the main thing I said with this guy's idea that he wanted to just ship bikes in and ride for 30 days, I was like, listen, the cost of shipping bikes in is just going to be so disproportionate. I mean, they're going to be Australian bikes too. I said, listen, you're going to need a carnet as well for Malaysia. And a carnet is going to cost you, $1,500 per bike. And, when you ship back to Australia, you're going to have to disassemble your bike so that you can clean it for quarantine. Otherwise, the Australian board, Aquis, I mean, they take no prisoners when it comes to biosecurity. So, shipping that back into Australia and then disassembling your bike for biosecurity, very long process, very annoying, quite expensive. I just said, like, it's not worth it. Now, but I understand what we're trying to do here, because the kind of epic ride around Southeast Asia that we're talking about is, it's kind of the same vibes of like, I did an epic ride around Southeast Asia, when I rode from Australia and eventually all the way here in Chiang Mai. I was on my 690 Enduro from Australia, and I shipped it from Darwin to Dili in East Timor, and then I rode all through Indonesia, all through Malaysia. I rode all through Thailand and Laos and Cambodia and Vietnam. Vietnam, I did get into Vietnam, but that's a different and quite shady story. I don't necessarily recommend anyone do the same thing. Different. But also possible because I was one person and I was sort of able to get under the radar a little bit. And also I had all the time in the world. So even though I thought that I wouldn't get into Vietnam the way that I did, I'd accepted that. I was like, listen, I'm here anyway, let's give it a go. I wasn't on a schedule. I wasn't like, I need to be back in Australia in 3 weeks or anything. I took 3.5 years. So that was a different game. But there are just such incredible places to be seen, such incredible roads and tracks to be ridden, such incredible experiences to be had across Southeast Asia. And so I sat down and I made a plan. And I made this plan which starts in Hat Yai, which is in southern Thailand. It's really close to the Malaysian border. So you start Hat Yai. Then you're going to ride north. You're going to ride up along the western border of Thailand. You're going to go through Kanchanaburi, and there's some incredible national parks up there. And then you're going to trace around the Burma border in the west. You're going to trace around, you're going to do the Mae Hong Son Loop, which is some of the most gorgeous like bitumen road in the world. It's like a racetrack. It's absolutely beautiful. Just days and days and days and days. And then you're going to get to Chiang Mai. Now, for this first leg, which is quite long, it's like a week, my idea is that I'm going to ship down some bikes to Hat Yai, and they're going to be road bikes. So you can ride these beautiful, beautiful twisting roads in Thailand on the road bike. You can, get your knee down the corner. You can really enjoy yourself. But then once you've done the Mae Hong Son Loop and you're in Chiang Mai, then we want to go and do Laos and Vietnam. And that's a different game. So we switch bikes. We switch to CRF 300s. dual sport bikes. We put knobby tires on them. They're set up for off-road. And then from there, we go off-road all the way to the Laos border. We do northern Laos, which is just some of the most glorious off-road you've ever seen. And then we cross straight into Vietnam because, like I say, if we have a group of people, I can arrange so that we can actually get all the permits and get into Vietnam and do the thing. So we can go into Vietnam, so still on our CRF 300s, and that's perfect because Vietnam, like, there's traffic, the roads are all small, you don't want a big bike, and you don't want a bike that needs good roads. So we're going to go in, we're going to do the Ha Giang Loop, which is very, very famous, incredibly beautiful. Some of the most beautiful scenery you'll ever see in your life. Like, you just stand on the side of these hills and you just, they drop down into the ravine and there's a turquoise river at the end of the ravine looking like a snake, Ha Giang Loop, beautiful. So we do the Ha Giang Loop. And then we drop all the way down to Phong Nha, which has some of the most incredible cave systems in the world. Like, you get in a boat and go into this cave system, and it's just incredible. Go through Phong Nha, and then we come back into Laos, and we do some more incredible off-road in Laos. We come through Vang Vieng, so if you want a little bit of when you're ready for like a little bit of a tourist relaxed spot, we go and see the Blue Lagoon. It's gorgeous. Then we go through Luang Prabang, beautiful town, very like old French colonial. And then we come back in to Thailand and finish at Chiang Mai. Now, this would be about 2 months. I did the calculations. I was like, listen, we chuck in a couple of rest days and that. We get to 51 days. Now, if you really want time to really smell the roses and, do some touristy stuff and enjoy yourself and take some rests while you're going through this, epic once in a lifetime Southeast Asia tour, then okay, let's say 2 months. Now, this is a huge chunk of time, and I understand that most people don't have 2 months off work. So maybe the people who can take this tour or who are thinking of doing a epic once in a lifetime tour like this, maybe they're retired, which is fantastic because I think in your 50s and 60s, perfect time for riding, right? Like, you've probably been riding for long enough that you know all the tricks, you know all the techniques, and you're still young and strong enough to enjoy yourself. And now you have time to do it. So this is the thing I'm thinking about, Are there people out there who have 2 months and want to do an epic 2 month, best of Southeast Asia tour? Because this, I was just running through the plan and I was looking at all these places where, I managed to get to, in my 3.5 years. And it took me years to find all these places and to know where the good places to go are. But now I know, and I reckon, 2 months I can share it. And I just think it would be extraordinary. And yeah, so I'm keen to know if there are people out there who are interested in an epic Southeast Asian tour like this. So first part, the first 2 weeks on road bikes, up through these beautiful bitumen roads in Thailand, up through the twisties, up through the racetrack roads. And then after 2 weeks, we switch to CRF 300 dual sports. And that's when we go into Laos, we go into Vietnam. That's what I'm thinking. So let me know if that sounds like fun. Anyway, that would probably be, when would we do that? I mean, we would do it maybe the end of this year, beginning of next year. So yeah, let me know. All right. Well, what else? I've been talking a lot. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions, or if there's anything you want me to talk about. It can be anything as exciting as front sprocket guards, or it can be touring in Indonesia. Oh yeah, so I still have I'm looking forward to going back to Indonesia. The rainy season is coming to an end in the next month or so in Indonesia. And so back to amazing riding time in Indo. So I've got my 3 KLX 230s in Sulawesi, which are with my friend at his bike shop. If you want to rent them and ride around Sulawesi, you can. So also, if you want to do that, let me know. They're great bikes, and they're super new as well. They've only got a few thousand kilometers on them. Lovely KLX 230 SEs. Small bikes, but the perfect bike for, exploring the islands, because you don't want a big bike in Sulawesi. The roads are not big, and the mountains are steep, and it's beautiful, but you want a nice small bike for that. Anyway, so I might just sort of stop talking soon. It's been a really fun season, and I'm looking forward to going down to the islands. I'm actually leaving tonight. I'm going to take the overnight train down to Bangkok, then the overnight train down to Trung, and then that's going to put us down in the Andaman Sea, and some beautiful islands down there. Going to take like a week to get a bit of sunshine, get a bit of rest, and do some strategic thinking for the business, because we need to be strategic at the moment, because the whole world is like, so I mean, the first thing was, like a year ago, I was looking at the tariffs problem, because I sell a lot of dirt bike parts to America, and then we had to deal with tariffs on all our products. So before that, we had the $800 de minimis rule, which meant that any parcel under $800 in value didn't have to pay import duty or tariffs to get into America to my customers. So that was fine. But then, of course, the de minimis rule was abolished. So now, suddenly I had to scramble and find a better way around it. And what I did is I now use DDP shipping, which means that we prepay all the tariffs and duties before we send the item. And I provide that service to my US customers for free, because it's a really important market to me, and I need to make sure that people are having a good experience when they order from us. So if you're in America and you order from us, your items are going to arrive straight to your door. You're not going to have to pay any tariffs or anything like that. But the thing is that costs me quite a bit of money, and the margins down. So that was a blow. So the tariffs was made life a little bit difficult in terms of our business here. And now, of course, we have a war in the Middle East, and that is a disaster for the people who are involved in it and whose lives are caught up in it. And I feel very lucky that we're over here and we're quite safe, but at the same time it affects us. Oil prices are affecting everyone, and so I run a tourism business, and I'm hoping that I'm going to get lots of people get on planes from America and Europe and Australia and New Zealand and come here to go riding with us next season. So like October, November, December, January, February. That's the time to come. Come on tour, come and have fun. But I'm also worried that it's going to be more expensive for my customers to book flights to come and ride with us. So this is another challenge. So I sort of feel like I keep diversifying my business so that, we can keep the lights on when there's all these upheavals in the world. So, we sell bike parts. We have a workshop in Chiang Mai. We do fit outs. We help people buy bikes. I have a hotel. You can come live at my hotel. And, we have a monthly rate. I'm trying to fill it with motorcycle people. It's a lot of fun, actually. You go and have breakfast and you can talk about motorcycles because most people have bikes. It's fantastic. Anyway, so I've got a hotel as well. And then also we do enduro tours. So many, many different parts of the business, quite diverse. But, these are challenging times, and like I say, I sort of feel it's like whack-a-mole, right? First I was like, look, I'll sell bike parts, and then tariffs. Okay. So then I was like, listen, it's okay. I do tourism, I do enduro tours, and then flight costs. And so there's always something. But life is like that, and we are making the best of it. And and look, there's many, many good things as well, you know. So I know that getting here from Europe at the moment is not very easy. Coming in from America, still okay. And coming in from Australia, still fine. You know, please do come see us. Please do come have some fun with us, because there's a lot of fun to be had. And yeah, don't be put off. Don't be deterred by, you know, instability, because there's always something. There's always something. Anyway, so I'm going to sign off now. I feel like I've been talking for a long time. And obviously, I'm enjoying all these things I'm talking about. I could talk about motorbikes all day, but you don't need to listen all day. It's one thing I will say is, for High Volt Spares, which is my my parts business, I finally made an Instagram, because I didn't have an Instagram before. So if you want to go follow my High Volt Spares Instagram, that would be great, because I have 3 followers. And it occurred to me that, you know, Facebook is for old people like myself. I think they call me an elder millennial now. So 1987. And yeah, like I love a bit of Facebook if I'm trying to find something or stay in touch with people. But yeah, the young generation's not using it anymore. So High Volt Spares is now on Instagram as well. Anyway, that's pretty much it. I'll be going down to the islands. You'll be pleased to know that the episode of Trenchfoot that I got earlier this season is now, you know, quite okay. It was a bit graphic. I don't know if people enjoyed it or were horrified by it when I put that photo of my my festy foot on my online, but it was quite funny. I looked at my foot. I mean, so the story is, we were basically riding for 21 days, and it just kept raining. This was like early October. It just kept raining, and so every single day I had wet boots. And as much as you try to like put the plastic bag inside your boot and that, you know, if it rains, if you go through a water crossing, the water's still going to come in the top of the plastic bag. So for 21 days I had wet feet, and then eventually at the end of 21 days, wet feet turned into trench foot, which is so unsurprising. And so my poor foot was just a mess. I had to go down to the local hospital in, where were we? We were in like Omkoi. Yeah, we were not in a big town. Anyway, went down there. They fixed me up. They gave me a bill, the hospital bill, for getting seen by a doctor, getting my poor foot debrided by the nurse, and getting, you know, all the antibiotics and antifungals and things that you need. The whole bill here in Thailand was, I think it was about $5.63. So 5 stars for that. Fixed me up in no time. Yes, so now the feet are looking completely civilized again. I even got a pedicure, actually. But I was looking at my trenchfoot foot, and I was thinking, well, it's very good that I don't make my living by foot modeling. So yeah, so that's another reason why you should buy bike parts from me, because I cannot make a living by foot modeling, because after 21 days in wet enduro boots, it's not a good look. So anyway, that's about it. If you have any questions or anything, say hello, let me know. I've got an eye on the chat. But otherwise, I'm going to go and continue with my day. I have a whole bunch of paperwork to do before I get on the train to go south tonight. All right. Everyone take care. Nice to see you. Enjoy riding your motorbikes. Come ride with us next season. So late October to November, December, January, February. Absolutely gorgeous riding weather. Perfect. Send me an email. Let's make a plan. Alrighty. Gonna catch